The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
Last week's Indy 500 left us with many questions. Can the new 500 champion, Jacques Villeneuve, turn his Indy triumph into an IndyCar championship? Can Christian Fittipaldi continue his upward climb and improve on last week's second? Will we continue to see new names atop the leaderboard like Eliseo Salazar? And what about Big Mo, Mauricio Gugelmin? He's been consistent. Can he score his first win? And least we forget, they're back. Team Penske, and now they have something to prove. We're at Wisconsin State Fair Park, and the Indy cars are ready for the Miller Genuine Draft 200. We have a great many stories here today. They're all exciting, but first thing first. The driver's condition of Stan Fox, that driver injured 1 week ago in that first lap accident at Indy. Well, the news is good. He is in fair condition in the neurointensive care unit at Methodist Hospital of Indiana. He is conscious. He has opened his eyes. He is responding to verbal commands, and they say he has greatly improved in the past couple of days. The question remains, what happened, and did the car do its job? At the start, Fox accelerated at 206 miles an hour. 1,000 feet or 3 seconds later, the onboard computer recorded suspension, steering, and deceleration changes some thought was a bump from another car. There is no visual evidence to support that. It could have been a race start turbulence combined with his turn into the corner. Just past the apex, the rear came loose. As Stan countered the skid, his wheels crossed the rumble strip and he hit the dirt. The car snapped to the right. He was then hit by Cheever, ripping a hole in the side of the tub. At 164 miles an hour, he then hit the wall. The side hit slowed him down. Apparently realizing his predicament, Stan's midget racing experience kicked in, and he crossed his arms. But weakened by Cheever's tub, the front end broke off. As Stan rode along the wall, he bruised his foot on Cheever's wing. Despite these pictures, there are no major external injuries. In fact, his uniform wasn't even damaged. His closed head injury was caused by G-forces and not by external trauma. Now, that closed head injury can be very subtle. The brain floats in fluid inside the skull, and the injury occurs when the brain twists in the skull or slaps up against the inside of the skull, and there is no way known to protect against that. Then there's the other story, Scott Goodyear and his passing of the pace car in the closing laps of the race. Well, again, we go to the video, and it clearly shows that he did, in fact, pass the pace car. There's no question about that. Scott's question was whether or not the green light was on when he did so. Again, the video shows that the yellow light was on when he went past, and so Scott has registered no protest. He understands his mistake, and Jacques Villeneuve is indeed the champion of the Indianapolis 500. But being the champion can be very distracting. Focus is going to be his problem this weekend. He's only qualified 11th here. And the Penskes are back, and they are looking very strong. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, they're the same teams, the same drivers, same crews, same cars. As Team Penske brought to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and failed to qualify for the running of the Indy 500. But the problems that they encountered with these cars at Indy benefit them on mile tracks such as Milwaukee. These Penskes create incredible downforce. And unfortunately, throughout the month of May, Team Penske was unable to dial some of that downforce out to gain the 225-mile-per-hour plus speeds necessary for qualifying. But as witnessed by their performance at Phoenix and the win by this man at Nazareth, they are extremely potent on mile ovals. Not potent enough, Gary Gerald, though, to win the pole position here at Milwaukee.
Well, Jack, the man who provided all the drama, the last qualifier yesterday afternoon, the man who sits right here in the cockpit, Teo Fabi. It's the 10th pole of his career. It's the first, however, in the last 5 years, and his first since he's been reunited with Jerry Forsythe as an owner. Something to keep in mind, every driver today has a brand new pressure relief or pop-off valve on his car. This valve is a brand new valve. It's much better, it's more efficient, more improved, but it's been tough for drivers to get adapted to it because it is so extremely sensitive. A couple of drivers were very outspoken in their frustration after qualifying yesterday, namely Paul Tracy and Bobby Rahal. Because it's so sensitive, the roughness of the race surface here at Milwaukee impacts the performance of this valve. And for more on that story, let's go back upstairs to our two former drivers, Bobby Unser and Sam Posey.
Well, Gary, the track is rough. Back when I ran here, it was a smooth racetrack. But because of the winter frosties, it's caused the pavement to buckle. The black lines that you see on the pavement on your television set, those are bumps. And they caused the new pop-off valve to blow off. But the good news, Sam, is it's going to be repaved in August, the first time since 1967.
Well, Bobby, rough track and a tough battle for the championship. Jacques Villeneuve leads it from Bobby Rahal and Scott Pruett right now. But there are any number of other top drivers who could be contenders. And remember, the season is still young.
Well, there won't be another oval race until the end of July at Michigan. Now, that's 5 road races in a row, and their current points leaders are all good road racers.
Bobby, consider the strange case of Michael Andretti, though. He has led all 6 of these IndyCar Championship races this year without winning a single one of them. A strange situation. Now, he has, through history, won 4 races here on the Milwaukee Mile. Perhaps today he could turn his season around.
We think he's due.
Other things worth mentioning, rookie Andrew RIBEIRO is 5th quick in his Honda. Mauricio GUGELMIN has been consistently good this year. Gilles de Ferran is hard driving but needs to finish. And what about Christian Fittipaldi? Can he improve? We'll be back. Back at the Miller Genuine Draft 200 on the Milwaukee Mile. The cars are started and beginning to roll on their parade laps. Let's take a look at the starting grid. On the pole, Teo Fabi, his first pole since 1990. He hasn't won since '89. Alongside Emerson Fittipaldi, he won the last series race on a 1-mile oval at Nazareth in April. In row 2, it's Al Unser Jr., the defending Milwaukee champion. And Michael Andretti, with 4 wins at Milwaukee, make him the leader among active drivers. In the 3rd row, Andre Ribeiro, the fastest rookie here, using Honda power. And Robbie Gordon, he won earlier this season on the 1-mile oval at Phoenix. In row 4, it's Paul Tracy and Raul Boesel. In the 5th row, Adrian Fernandez and Mauricio GUGELMIN. In the 6th row, Jacques Villeneuve, the Indy champion, and Scott Pruett. In the 7th row, Christian Fittipaldi, Rookie of the Year at Indianapolis, and Jimmy Vasser. Row 8, Stefan Johansson and Bobby Rahal. The 9th row, Eddie Cheever and Gilles de Ferran. The 10th row, Eliseo Salazar and Carlos Guerrero. The 11th row, Danny Sullivan and Hiro Matsushita. Row 12, Brian Herta and Buddy Lazier. And in the 13th and final row, Alessandro Zampedri and Lynn St. James, who is in by the promoter's option after an accident yesterday. Looking out the rear of Michael Andretti's car now. We also have on board, sitting on Paul Tracy's car, on Bobby Rahal's car. On the rear wing there of Robbie Gordon. Race analysis, 200 miles on the 1-mile oval, 138 miles an hour is Michael Andretti's record here. Expect the fuel stop at 75 to 85 laps depending on the caution periods. Other things that we'll be watching here today is the battle for the Nations Cup in IndyCar. See which nation, which driver from which nation can score the most points. Currently the United States in the lead, followed by Canada and Brazil. And then there is the Manufacturers Championship as well. But the Team USA, here is the way they line up. There's everybody in Team USA. So you can get an idea of who is involved in this particular fight. The other teams, Team Canada, Team Brazil, the largest other than USA. And then Team Chile, Sweden, and Japan. And of course, Mexico and Team Italy with Teo Fabi, the pole sitter, coming from Team Italy. So that's the Manufacturers Championship. Now, the stories we're going to be following here today, the rough surface of the track, the progress of Team Penske. What about these new pop-off valves? Will they be a problem? And the fuel management at this track. If you play it right, and you do it in just one stop, maybe so. So there they are as they line up behind the PPG pace car. Here's the chassis and engines and the tires breakdown in the field here today, as now they'll begin to go into the rows of 2 alignment. Roger Penske watches his team. For a moment, it looked like they were going to send a spotter up to the top of the grandstand here. Made an appearance, and then I think the officials had a conversation, and they may have asked him not to do that since that is not customary to IndyCar. We'll try and follow up on that a little bit. Off of turn 2, going down the backstretch. Beautiful day here in Milwaukee, sun shining, a little warm, sun definitely on that surface. That's going to make the tires a factor here today. So now we're set for a green flag as they're midway down the backstretch. And apparently they're going to hold on and keep the field yellow. Starter has a yellow flag in his hand, and the reason for this is that they have lost communications, which is landline, not two-way radio, to the observers around the track. They don't want to start. There's a whole safety issue there. They're not going to start with that. So they'll slow the field down. Once they cross the line, the laps will begin to count. But it will not be at racing speed, obviously.
This gives us a chance. Look at Teo Fabi actually leading the pack there, and try to memorize the way his car looks, because it's almost exactly the same as the two Penske's car. Very tough to tell apart.
Look at all the marks that we talked about in the pavement while we've got time there. Everything that you see is black on that pavement is absolutely, without doubt, a bump. And the guys have had a lot of wrecks during practice, Sam and Paul, and it's because of these bumps in the pavement.
This track was built back in 1903, one of the oldest tracks anywhere in the world. And it was the site for a few years of the Green Bay Packers playing championship football right on the infield on the right of this shot.
Well, the temporary confusion over the landline communication has now been repaired. They come back to the rows of two, actually rolling on the very first lap. And we anticipate the green flag will come out to start this run this time around. Teo Fabi, the pole sitter, on the inside. Fittipaldi to the outside. There we go. Green is out. Fittipaldi moves ahead and then drops back as Teo Fabi jumps into the lead. Michael Andretti comes up into third place. Robbie Gordon makes a strong move. On the backside, you ride with Robbie Gordon. That's Michael just ahead. That's a battle for third place. There's first and second ahead as Robbie Gordon comes into third. Now Robbie Gordon moving on Emerson Fittipaldi. He might get caught up close to that wall. No, he tucks back in.
The guys are really trying to feel each other out right now.
Hard driving. Look at Robbie Gordon as he comes sweeping around the outside. Tries to get around Fittipaldi and does.
You can see how rough it is. Just watch from the onboard cameras. The drivers are really fighting the wheel here.
Michael Andretti comes around Fittipaldi.
And Fittipaldi back around Michael. Exciting stuff.
And let's remember, this track is easy to pass on. Doesn't mean it's easy to pass any particular car, but there's lots of grooves. As we go through this race today, the groove will go from clear down to the grass, almost probably 3 or 4 car lengths out to the wall.
As Michael gets around Fittipaldi, Paul Tracy comes up to challenge Al Unser Jr. Tracy ducks to the inside of the corner, inside the Penske cars. Little Al holds on and is able to continue his cornering speed on the outside, so Tracy has to drop back in. Teo Fabi still the leader.
This is why this track is so great that many different grooves, as Bobby mentioned, work here, and you get side-by-side racing.
A guy can actually set during the race, a driver, plan his move way later, like even halfway or 3/4 through the race right now, by keeping, for example, the outside groove clean from all the little rubber debris that gets thrown up there.
Teo Fabi, the leader. There you take a look at Robbie Gordon, who has been very aggressive. Look at that high, wide entry that he takes into the first turn. Only once in the last 10 years has the leader of the first lap gone on to win the race. That was Michael in 1992.
But he's got a tough one behind him. That Michael Andretti has led a lot of laps, won a lot of races here, and he's going to be tough. Gordon, on the other hand, as you can see, has always had the tendency to go to a high groove.
Penske cars run fourth and fifth as Michael makes his move inside of Gordon. Gordon again takes that high, wide, outside line. They're side by side through 1 and 2.
Did you notice, Paul, that outside line is always quicker off the turns?
Oh, they touched.
Now that was a close wreck. That could have been a really bad wreck. That's a no-no, ever touching tires on these cars.
These are two of the hardest charging drivers in the business. Tremendous ability and very aggressive.
So Michael Andretti's going to try him again on the inside as the Penske team fighting itself as well. You can watch both those battles at once. Now we come back up to the front as Robbie Gordon challenging with Michael, but Michael has decidedly picked up the position on Robbie Gordon.
Now it's going to be interesting. Let's see whether Robbie Gordon comes back down. No, he's not.
Al Unser Jr. tucks inside of Gordon, and now the question I have to ask, Bobby, did the touch do something to Robbie? He's dropped back 2 positions.
No, there wasn't enough pressure on it. That was just the smoke barely touching together. Had the tires touched a little harder, they'd have gone airborne.
Here's another look at that touch.
Now watch him just swing by. He's going to cut him a little bit close. Almost hit the nose. And it was the wing that hit. There's no damage. It might throw the wing setting off just a little bit.
Robbie Gordon continues on in 4th place. Here is Al Unser.